Appreciate you streaming into hour number 2 on this Thursday edition of Birds 365, leading up to a Dallas Cowboy weekend. Saturday game on Christmas Eve versus the boys down in Big D. A little bit of a substitution here. I won't even say we're going to the backup. It's a different kind of look when Johnny Mac leaves the show. And we bring in our own Barrett Brooks, who you know from the Sports Take, NBC Sports Philly, here in town. BB, are you ready for some football?
Are you kidding me? This is what I live for. Dallas week. This is Dallas week, man. It was hard for me to sleep last night, man. I'm geeked already. I've been geeked for the entire week. As soon as that last gun went off and we were done with the Bears, I was into it, man. I was ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock and roll, man.
Flip that page pretty quickly. All right. One of the things I like to do when you're good enough to join us is you can give us the ex-player perspective that neither John nor I can bring to the table. When you were here in the league, either Eagles or Steelers, the whole attitude of the team when there's a change at quarterback. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles are not admitting that there's going to be a change at quarterback. Gardner Minshew took all the reps yesterday because Jalen Hurts once again did not participate, despite what both the coach and the players said the day before, that they're not committing to anything just yet as who's the starting quarterback will be. We believe it's going to be Gardner Minshew. How do you do that as a teammate? How does that work? How does the mindset of the individual player, knowing that you're going to be working with, protecting, in your case as an offensive lineman, doing your job a little differently because of the guy who the ball's being snapped to, how does that work in a week where you know there's a change at QB?
Well, I mean, from that aspect, it won't be the Foles effect. You know, Foles, they knew what Foles could do. They knew Foles could hold his own. They just had to get an offense that Foles could run that was comparable to what Carson could run. With this, I really think that they've already had a game plan in the works, anyways, just in case. He's one of the most Gardner Minshew is one of the most prepared quarterbacks I've seen go in and produce at a high level. It's not like he's coming in and they're gonna have to do a little extra to help him out. He has a different skill set than Jalen Hurts, but he's still a damn good quarterback and play at a high level, which makes it different from, other times, because I really and truly believe that the way Garner plays, he's going to play at a high level. But number one, he's interviewing for 31 other teams. Number two, he wants a big contract. Number three, he feels as though he's a starting quarterback in the league. He'll be just fine. And everybody said, oh, it's not like last year it was against the Jets. Regardless of what you're talking about, the Jets is an NFL team with NFL caliber players. And, oh, by the way, their defense was pretty damn good last year also.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, wrong.
I'm talking about their pass.
I'm a Jet guy, right?
I'm talking about their pass rush.
The Jet defense stunk last year.
I love their pass rush and their corners. Say they didn't have good corners either. I thought their corners
were a bad defense, period. They're a much improved defense this year. Sauce Gardner, a couple other additions, Mosley back. They are a top – I think they're a top 5 defense. Last year, end of the season, injuries and everything, their defense was brutal. It was
all right, well, it was a while ago. It was.
Believe me when I tell you. I'm a Jet/Eagle guy. I've been
a Jet fan my entire life. You've been that.
I've got tickets to tonight's Jets-Jaguars game, and I'm debating whether I want to drive up in the pouring rain to MetLife Stadium to watch them play Dougie P and the Jaguars. So believe me when I tell you, I know the Jets.
You gotta go. But still, though, those are NFL caliber players that play at a high level. And Garner can play, man. His numbers are pretty good considering the fact that he's been a backup up until when he started starting for Nick Foles. He can sling it around. He can make some things happen. And all he has to do is hand it off. This is the number 1 offensive line in the league. So, I mean, he can just hand it off and run the offense the old conventional way. That's all they have to do. He has very functional mobility also. It's not like he's going to be sitting back there like a sitting duck. He can run around. And, oh, by the way, remember the camaraderie that he had with Dallas Goedert in that game. I think he had 100 yards that game. So I'm truly thinking that the offensive line is going to be, look, we got to protect this guy. we got to beat up on this guy. And, oh, by the way, we're still pissed off at Michael Parsons and all the stuff they've been talking about. They will be ready to rock, bro.
So they know where Micah Parsons is. That's and Stoutland University is all in attendance. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's good to go.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you on the way the Eagles are going to proceed forward. And, oh, by the way, it looks like the Cowboys are going to be without Van Der Esch. They're starting.
Yeah, he's not starting Van Der Esch. Yep.
That's a key aspect as well. We saw the Eagles this past week, and I haven't heard your thoughts on this either on NBC Sports or on your show with D Gunn and Rob Ellis. John and I both critiqued, if not criticized, the Eagle game plan on Sunday, that they came in and just believed they were so much superior to the Bears. They could do whatever they wanted. They could call whatever kind of play they wanted. It was going to be successful. The Bears cornerbacks are young but talented, and they made some plays. They gave up big plays, but they made some plays as well. But Miles didn't get a carry till 6 minutes left in the second quarter. So we kind of questioned it. This week, the Cowboys have been very good against the pass all year. Until the last 2 weeks, the Titans threw it against the Texans threw it against them, okay, and Trevor Lawrence just ripped them up with Anthony Brown, their other starting corner, out of the lineup. You think they go heavy run against the Cowboys this week without Van Der Esch in there, and the Cowboys all year have been a team you can run the football against? You think you see a reverse with Gardner Minshew of the kind of game plan they put together last week with Jalen Hurts in there?
In all actuality, I don't think. I think they're going to try to have a balance, but I think it's going to be a lot of heavy passing simply because they lost Brown, their starting cornerback. Right now, they have a rookie playing in the nickel, and I don't think they can cover. I think Diggs is susceptible to the double move. He plays very inconsistent, even though he is a Pro Bowl caliber player. He guesses a lot because of his because he's not a fast guy. So he has to predict a lot. He's very smart. He watches a lot of film. He jumps routes because he understands what they're trying to do to him. Former receiver, he knows what they're trying to do to him, but he also is susceptible because he jumps those routes, and they're going to try to double move him. With, two guys that are playing on the other side that are not necessarily good cornerbacks, I think they're going to try to take advantage of those matchups with Brown and Smith. They're just going to try to do it. I mean, I just see them doing that because look at what happened against the Bears. The Bears didn't have two of their starters in, so they threw the ball heavily. I think they're going with the same game plan. The only thing is when they do hand it off, it's going to be a straight handoff to Miles Sanders or Boston Scott or whoever's in there. I think that's what they need to do. But, I mean, I just got a sense they're going to do the same thing they did against the Bears, try to pass the ball, get up on them early, force Dak Prescott to not run the ball, which takes them out of play action, and make them pass the ball, make Dak beat them.
All right, BB, John and I talked about this in hour number one. The Pro Bowl Philadelphia Eagles, they could just go ahead and rename the game for the Eagles this year because so many guys made it as either starters, reserves, and or alternates. Excuse me. Unbelievable number of accolades thrown the Eagles' way. Now, chances are they're not going to go to the Pro Bowl because they're going to be busy. They're going to be in the Super Bowl playing that week. So they're not even going to get to play the flag football game or any of the other games that they're going to be playing. They're not playing the actual Pro Bowl anymore. What does that mean? You've been on teams with guys who made the Pro Bowl. The acknowledgement and what it actually means has changed over the years. But how big a deal was it when you were playing that a guy got a Pro Bowl nod?
It's really a popularity game. It's just to be known as a Pro Bowler is what they're trying to do. That's the gist of what it is. So, I mean, that's an honor in itself. The game itself really means nothing. Guys didn't want to play the game because more so they're worried about getting hurt, and they didn't want to, go against their friends like that. So at the end of the day, it's just a popularity concert, but it means a lot to these guys' contracts. In their contracts, they have written in, if you're a Pro Bowler, you get this. But I think it's more so the accolades of having that asterisk behind your name, Pro Bowler. You'll always be a Pro Bowler now. Lane Johnson's been a Pro Bowler a long time. Jason Kelsey, AJ Brown's, second year as a Pro Bowler. Landon Dickerson to his first Pro Bowl. I mean, these guys, Miles Sanders, that's huge for Miles Sanders because now when he goes to the negotiating table, he has behind his name the asterisk. I am a Pro Bowl running back now. So, yes, it means a lot to these guys, but does the game necessarily mean that? I think the game means nothing. Once you're a Pro Bowler, you're always a Pro Bowler.
And the Eagles got a whole bunch of Pro Bowlers this year. And the funny thing is, a whole bunch of them will not be going because they're going to be so they get replaced by the alternates, who are all Eagles anyway, but then they won't be going either because the Eagles are going to be busy. So it's nice to win this popularity contest. It is nice to get that asterisk after your name, but the Eagle fans are rooting for none of them to participate in Vegas on that week, because they've got other things to do. All right, Cowboys coming in this week. They're going up against Dak Prescott, who's had success against the Philadelphia Eagles. During his time as the starting quarterback of the Eagles, he's done well against Philadelphia, more wins than losses. On the season, he's thrown a lot of interceptions. He's made big plays too, but he's also been susceptible to the INT. What kind of game do you think Dak Prescott is sitting on this week coming in against Philadelphia?
Hopefully, he keeps up with the same pattern he's been out there. He's just not playing at a high level. They used to say that Dak Prescott was the top 5, top 10, a top 10 quarterback. He's nowhere near that right now. And I don't understand it. I mean, to have the running game that they have, Pollard is playing at such a high level. He's such an explosive guy. And Zeke Elliott, he's been known to kill us, back in the day. For him to have that type of running game and not be able to push the ball down the field is almost criminal. I mean, his offensive line is playing well enough that he's not really getting harassed. But when you have play action, you can push the ball down. You can hold it just a little bit longer because it makes the defensive line start and stop. They start out pass rushing. They see us a run, so they slow down just that second. Just that second gives the offensive lineman a chance to get on them, be more aggressive, and plus it's solid protection because you keep a running back in, you keep a tight end in to help with the blocking scheme. He still does that and still throw these terrible passes, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if his hand is, messed up, his arm. I just don't know, but he throws a bad ball now. Like they say with Jalen Hurts, he throws a very catchable ball. Dak is not getting the ball where it's behind his receivers, because he has great receivers. Say what you want to say. CeeDee Lamb's good. Michael Gallup is a pretty good receiver also. He just can't get it to him. And they say T.Y. Hilton's supposed to play this game. I don't know what effect he's going to have. But, I mean, I think that he can push the ball down. He just is a bad quarterback at this point, I mean, he has a pretty good tight end in Schultz. He can get it to him also. But he just doesn't – he's not playing at a high level. I don't know what his problem is. But I'm loving it, though. I'm enjoying it. But still, though, I mean, look, the past 4 games, he's had, 6, 7 picks?
Yeah,
That's simply ridiculous. That's simply ridiculous.
Understood. How big a deal is it for the Eagles to get Reed Blankenships back? Now, this is actually – it's almost humorous that we're not that far removed from – unfortunately, it doesn't look like the Eagles going to have room for Reed Blankenships. They can keep him on the practice squad. He's now a starting player that we're making a big deal over because he's returning to the lineup because he got hurt. He steps in. No one knew he was going to step in when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson went down, that the coaching staff were that high on him that they were going to move him past the
Kayvon
Wallace drafted higher spot on the safety rotation. Plays well, gets hurt. Oh my God, we don't have Blankenship. Now he's coming back. People are all excited about the return of Reed Blankenships. How big a deal is it that he's getting back into the Eagle lineup this year?
It's actually a huge deal because Reed he's pretty good, man. Like I can remember him being in the preseason and watching him play. His name always ended up in the stat box. He's good enough he reads well. He understands what defenses are trying to do to him. He plays the safety position like a real safety. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to be exceptional as far as being in the box and or those type of things. But what he does is he knows where he's supposed to be at. He gets there. He's very solid in his pass assignments, and that's the big thing. He knows his run fits. He can come down and make plays. Then Reed has played well enough to be a starter for this Eagles team. Kayvon Wallace was specially suited to play in the game last week. He's a box safety. He's not I wouldn't necessarily call him a cover guy. He can't cover at a high level. It's a deficiency to have him out there covering receivers in the slot or anything. He can't do that. But he can play inside the box. He can be that guy to come up and make plays. He's a solid tackler. He'll do things like that. But he's not the cover guy that Reed Blankenship is. Reed gives you more from a coverage standpoint. And plus, I knew he was gonna be all right when he had the ugliest number in the end. I think he's like 47 or 49 or something like that. And that number kept on flashing and subtly in the preseason that you had to take notice of it. So he had the ugliest number in the league, but he still made the team. Usually they give those numbers to guys that are going to be cut. Well, he stuck around with that number, so you knew he could play.
Exactly. He outshone his numbers. So
right.
Specific credit for that. Other returning player for the Eagles this week, Reed, is one, and maybe bigger, is Dallas Goedert coming back off the IR. Most of us thought Dallas was going to play last week because they opened up his practice window, flew to Chicago. All right, we're getting Dallas Goedert back. Nope, was not activated. Don't know if he wasn't physically ready or they were afraid of the cold, didn't want to see him get hurt again, but he ended up not playing. Then they go ahead and activate him like on Monday, which they didn't have to do till Friday because you don't need to tip your hand, and the Eagles are very good at keeping information close to the vest. But they went ahead and activated him Monday, so there's no question asked. He's playing this week against the Cowboys. You quoted the numbers that he had against the Jets last year when Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. How heavy is he going to be in the use this week, Barrett?
Well, they didn't need him last week because that arrogance you spoke of earlier about them just playing the Bears. That's what that was. But him playing in this game is a necessity. They don't care to go out there and try to hoodwink or anything. They're going to show you, hey, we got Dallas Goedert, which is going to open up the offense because since he was out of the lineup, look how many passes they threw in the middle of the field. It was almost exclusively thrown to the outside receivers. That's their big play guys. What Dallas does, he opens up the middle of the field. You have to allocate resources to stop him in the middle of the field. So it's huge that he's back in the game plan, especially with Van Der Esch being out. This is one of those opportunities for the Eagles to open up the offense even more so than they had with the Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's a favorite target, and everybody knows a tight end is a quarterback's best friend. I mean, his ability to go out there and get open to catch. I mean, just that alone, his catching ability puts him at another level. Let alone he's still the best blocker blocking tight end we have on the team. So those attributes and the main fact that he's big, strong, and fast just opens everything up, and that's just another thorn that'll be in that defense's back when they play against the Eagles on Saturday.
Barrett, we know that Michael Parsons is a very talented player. He's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Only made 2 tackles last week, though, which was kind of disappointing. If you're going to walk the walk, talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, too. And he didn't last week against Jacksonville, but we know he's certainly capable of doing that. John has been telling us for 2 days, Nick Sirianni's philosophy in game number 1 was, if you can't block him, then you go ahead and read him and try and misdirect and know where he is and stay away from him. And they did it pretty effectively game 1 against Dallas this year here in Philadelphia. Mike has missed the last couple of days. We had John McMullen on yesterday who said, although it's not being quoted on the injury report, he's banged up. He's just beat up. He's tired because everybody goes to stop him and hit him every single week. If you're going to target somebody on the Dallas defense, he's the guy you're going to target. Any fear that Micah Parsons blows this game up against the Eagles on Saturday?
Not at all. Not at all. And it just comes from this offensive line being as talented as they are. I like my chances with Jordan Mailata, who's back to playing at that high level now that, his shoulder is not, affecting his play now. And we all know Lane Johnson loved it. It wasn't until Lane Johnson left the game that he came in and he had a couple plays which he dictated tempo. You want to play against guys like that. This offensive line is ready to play against that, especially him talking the way he was talking about their quarterback. He's gonna feel the wrath. And the game plan won't be, all right, we're gonna option off. I mean, they'll still have the read option and RPOs with Gardner Minshew it'll just be more equated to either handing it off or passing the ball. It won't be the running effect in that zone read. It'll be like Foles and what Foles did in 2017. Giving Billy, all right, he can either hand it off or he can throw the slant pass or the comeback route on the front side. That'll be the game plan. And to me, that's a pretty daggone good game plan because you still option it off him and his skill set, but you have a means of getting the ball out in a passing route as opposed to, running it, with the quarterback or just handing it off. So it'll still be an RPO. It'll just be more suited to Gardner Minshew's his assets of being a passer and just handing the ball off. But Parsons, the game plan should be, and I think they are going to do it, run right at him. Put all 370 pounds, 360 pounds of Jordan Mailata on his back and see how that goes for the entirety of a game. See how he likes those apples. Him coming off the ball on Michael Parsons, I'll take that all day because eventually, the laws of physical start going, in our favor. You know what I'm saying? That motion will get going, and he's not going to be able to stop all that coming off on him. Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata double team him. That's a match made in heaven to me. Just run right at him.
I think they are probably looking out for something that you're describing, which means I think they're going to try and move Parsons all over the field, but we won't know that till Saturday. All right, coming up next here on Birds 365, Eric Edholm. We've had him on before, does a great job covering the entire NFL for NFL.com. It's very good about the draft. We may throw him a draft question or two, but we're going to certainly talk Eagles and Cowboys and all things Week 16 in the NFL with Eric Edholm of NFL.com next here on Birds.